Hello students, this is Dr. V. Premila Priyadarshini here with you from the Department of Food Service Management and Dietetics, Avinash Lingam Institute for Home Science and Higher Education for Women to teach you on the topic pre-testing of questionnaire. Today's presentation of mine will have a brief introduction on research, objectives of this module, types of research, different tools of data collection, questionnaire in particular, and pre-testing of questionnaire, pilot study, and of course the summary of what we have learnt. To start with, let me tell you that according to the Advanced Learners Dictionary of Current English, research simply means a careful investigation or an enquiry, especially through search of new facts in any branch of knowledge. Also, according to Clifford Woody, research comprises of defining and redefining a problem, formulating a hypothesis or a suggested solution, collecting, organizing and evaluating a data, making deduction and reaching a conclusion, and at last carefully testing the conclusion to determine whether what you have formulated as hypothesis fits in or not. Student, be it any discipline, science, home science, humanities or management study, we do research for the following reasons. First one, to get a new idea or a better understanding on a well-established fact or a concept. For example, does light really travel in a straight line? This is a problem. Or to project precisely the nature of a particular person, group, concept or an event or a situation. And to give you an example, why children like an ice cream. Or else to find out the cause and effect of something and the frequency of occurrence. To put it in nutshell, what will be the effect of rainfall on an agricultural output can be an example for this. And the next one, to test a statement of prediction, that is a hypothesis that we set. An example can be like this: use of solar light, will it definitely reduce the consumption of electricity? So far, any research is an origin of any new idea or a finding that substantiate the existing knowledge. With this brief introduction on research, this current module will make you to gain knowledge on different types of research, understand the different types of questionnaire, designing a questionnaire, testing the reliability of the questionnaire. Let me start today's lesson with different types of research. Research are of different types. They may be descriptive, analytical, applied, quantitative, qualitative, conceptual and empirical. Now let us see briefly what they mean. A descriptive research are the one in which survey and fact-finding enquiries of different kinds are done. The major purpose of descriptive research is to give a description of fact, situation, event or a state of affair as it is in the current scenario. Coming to the analytical research, it tries to explore or understand the fact or information already available and analyze them to make a critical evaluation of material. Whereas in an applied research, a researcher works towards solving a problem. It can be of the society or an industry or a business organization. Whereas on the other hand, we formulate theories in fundamental research. Quantitative research is based on measurement of quantity or amounts. It is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. Qualitative research, on the other hand, is concerned with qualitative analysis, that is, analyzing relating to or involving qualities or kind. Example is hemoglobin analysis. Conceptual research is that related to some abstract ideas or theory. It is generally used by philosophers or thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing one. And now the empirical research is purely a data-based research, coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. Apart from this, we have other types of research like field setting research or laboratory research or simulations, clinical or diagnostic research, case study methods or in-depth research, exploratory research, historical research, and conclusion-oriented research. Having seen on different types of research, let us now get some basic insight on tools in research. I hope you all agree with me that any information that we collect is a data. Data are of two types, the primary data and the secondary one. Data that are collected by the investigator by themselves for the first time are called primary data. On the other hand, if we use the data that already exists are called as secondary data. To collect data, we use several tools like observation checklist, interview schedule, questionnaire, and warranty card, distributor's audit, pantry audit, consumer panels, mechanical devices, projective techniques, and content analysis. From the above methods, the observation checklist, interview method, and questionnaire are the most commonly used tools in data collection. Now let us see briefly the observational checklist, interview method, and the questionnaire in detail subsequently. Under the observation method, the information is collected by observing the event directly, either using a structured format or by means of an informal observation. All behavioral research use this tool to collect information. The interview method, data is collected by asking oral questions and receives the response in verbal. This method can be used through personal interviews and if possible through telephone interviews. Now let us move on to one of the most commonly used tools in data collection, the questionnaire. Questionnaires are the most widely used survey data collection method. The main reason why they are most commonly used are they are very easy, flexible, reliable, and the most convenient among all. Remember that if the questionnaire are designed properly according to the objectives, it is considered to be one of the best method of data collection. Questionnaire gives their best when the researcher uses standardized questions and when he or she is very much confident about the interpretation of questions asked. Hence, it can be said that they are best used for descriptive or explanatory research. Questionnaires, when used along with other tools, a complete and an in-depth information can be collected. This process is otherwise known as a multi-method approach. For example, to know the attitude of a customer, a questionnaire can be used to understand their attitude towards something, and an in-depth interview can also be done. Students, keep it in mind that designing of questionnaire completely depends on the researcher and the type of studies involved. The type of questionnaires required is based on the amount of the involvement of the respondent in completing the questionnaire. There are mainly two types of questionnaires: self-administered questionnaire and an interviewer-administered questionnaire. A self-administered questionnaires are completed by respondents themselves. They can be given by hand on an individual and collect them later, or can be sent through email or even a post. Nowadays, many apps and websites have been developed to conduct a survey using questionnaire, whereas the respondent can fill in the questionnaire using their smartphone itself. On the other hand, Interviewer administered questionnaires are filled up by the interviewee or the researcher after knowing the respondent's response. They are more reliable and complete when compared to self-administered questionnaire. These types of questionnaires can be administered and filled up through telephone interviews or a proper structured interview schedule. Never forget that the type of questionnaire to be chosen depends on various factors. Some of the factors includes the type or characteristics of the sample group. That is, the selected respondent should be able to answer the questionnaire by themselves if you want to use self-administered questionnaire. In rural places, if a survey should be conducted, then the use of an interviewer-administered questionnaire can be used. The second one is the particularity. The selected type of questionnaire should give valid answer but not distorted one. The answers given to these questions should be useful to the surveyor and in some or other way. The third factor that we have to consider is the sample size of the study. For a larger sample size of the study, self-administered questionnaires are preferred as the larger number of population is included and time constraint will be there. The fourth factor is the type of question. If any kind of complicated questions or scientific questions are presented, the questionnaire filling would be little difficult to the respondent. Hence, the interviewer would be filling the questionnaire. Total number of questions. If the total number of questions is small or less, it is better preferred to interviewer to fill it. Else, if it is huge, then it is the respondent who will fill it, as the time taken to interview and will be a huge process. Also, the other types of questionnaires one chooses increases the reliability of the questionnaire and also the respondent rate will increase. While selecting a questionnaire, take into consideration the time constraint, the finance, the number of field workers, and ease of data entry or coding and interpretation. Having seen on factors to be considered while using a questionnaire, let us now learn how to design a questionnaire. Each question in a questionnaire should be administered according to the objectives of the study and the information required achieving that objective. Three main principles should be kept in mind while designing a questionnaire. They are adopting questions from other standardized questionnaires, adapting the questions according to the objectives of your study, developing or designing new questions as required. Adopt or adapt helps to increase the reliability of the questionnaire and also they help to compare the result of your study with an existing one. But to meet your own objectives of the study, you require or you should design new questions such that the result will be unique from other studies. Now let us see what are the types of questions we should include while designing a questionnaire. There are two types of questions which can be used in a questionnaire. Remember that both types of questions have their own advantages and disadvantages. Open-ended questions. These type of questions allow the respondent to write their own response in the space provided. Close-ended questions, or on the other hand, will force the respondent to choose an answer among the options provided. Basically, there are 6 types of close-ended questions. The first one is list. The respondent should select or choose from a list of options. They can be more than 4 or 5 options and can select how many options they want. The second one is to categorize. That is, to categorize any information according to the type. Only one option should be chosen. The third one is to ask the respondent to rank. The respondent should be able to rank or arrange the options given in a particular order. The next one is asking the respondent to rate it on a rating scale. For example, a hedonic scale or a preference scale can be used for this purpose. The next one is to quantify. The type of questions which you ask about the amount should be specifically given. And the final one is by using a grid, the responses to 2 or more similar questions can be recorded at the same time. After designing a questionnaire, it is mandatory to introduce the questionnaire. A clear, concise introduction about the questionnaire should be given so that it explains to the respondent about the questionnaire and about the topic of survey. This will help the respondent to have a small idea about the survey and the purpose of filling the questionnaire. This introduction, therefore, should include clearly the title, the subtitle which speaks about the nature of the title, and a logo or design which attracts the respondent. Remember that before we administer the questionnaire for a data collection, pre-testing or pilot testing is essential to find out the suitability of questions asked and its relevance in data collection. Pilot testing is also known as pre-testing. It is very important as it increases the use of any tool which is used to collect the primary data. A pilot testing is done by giving the questionnaire to a smaller set of people and the responses are collected and interpreted. These interpretation should be checked with the required answer and objectives whether they are meeting the criteria or not. Thus, a pilot testing will help us to know the clarity of the questions, time taken by the respondent or the interviewer to complete a questionnaire, to filter out unnecessary questions, to know any ambiguity in questions, to know how the respondent will understand the question, and finally, to know how attractive and appealing a questionnaire is to be to the respondent. Let us now move on to the testing of reliability of a questionnaire. Reliability can be defined as the ability of a measure to produce the same or highly similar result on repeated administration. The reliability of a questionnaire can be tested in 3 stages: test or retest. This helps to correlate the data collected from same questionnaire at nearly equal circumstances. Therefore, questionnaire should be given twice to the respondent. Internal consistency is the second step. This will help to correlate the response of each question with other questions. It helps in knowing the internal consistency of a questionnaire. And the final step is to give an alternate form. This helps in comparing the responses with the responses taken when the same question is asked in a different form. They are usually known as check questions. According to Roger, there are 4 steps to increase the reliability. Increase in number of questions or items according to the required response. The respondent should not feel bored. When the administration process of the question to the respondent is similar, the reliability increases. Scoring error should be reduced. The items written or given should be checked clearly so that there is no ambiguity. Now let us move on to the validity of a questionnaire. Validity of a measure is the extent to which the tool measures what you intend to. To test the validity of a questionnaire, 3 steps of tests are done. Content validity. You have to check the validity of the content. It checks whether the questionnaire contains the questions related to the topic of a study or the relevant study. The next one, you have to check the validity of the construct of your questionnaire. That is, you have to check whether the result obtained are nearly or equal to the prediction that you have made. And the third one is to check the criterions of your validity, which can be done by concurrent validity testing and by predictive validity testing. The concurrent validity testing tests the questionnaire's results are compared with the same type of established one or correlated. The predictive validity is done by comparing the actual result with the predicted result. So students, to summarize, so far we have learnt a brief introduction about research, the objectives of this module, the different types of research, the tools in data collection, the questionnaire, types of questionnaires, how to design a questionnaire, the two types of questions which can be used in a questionnaire, and how to test the reliability and validity of a questionnaire. Students, always keep it in your mind, to become a good researcher, one has to inculcate the habit of observation. You should be inquisitive, you should have critical thinking, try to innovate with novelty to bring solution to any problem. Thank you for listening. Enrich yourself with more learning. Have a good day.